This is the Fit for Tomorrow podcast, your home for everything physical therapy and the start to your road to recovery. For more information, visit our website at fitforfunction.com and schedule your free over-the-phone consultation. Once again, that is PHYT for function.com. And here's your host, Dr. Nick Sanders.
All right, guys, I'm here today with Randy Golenberg of Spark Your Brand. Randy has been a patient of mine. We've known each other for a handful of years now. It goes back to the Rehabilitex days. So Randy is definitely very passionate about fitness and exercise, takes his recovery pretty serious. So he's been kind of on a mission over this COVID quarantine period. So I wanted to talk to him a little about what he's up to. I think he's got some really cool things to share in those regards, and hopefully help us all kind of get and stay more active. So what's going on, man?
Nothing. It's like I was just saying, it's Friday, feels like Monday. It's Groundhog Day, right?
It is weird. I feel like the weeks are just different now during COVID, maybe. And February just disappeared. This February has just been crazy.
Yeah, it has been. But, you just, I've told everybody, myself, unlike others, I'm such a creature of habit and creature of routine, You just got to get up, and I eat the same thing for breakfast, the same thing for lunch, the same thing for dinner. I do the same thing, and you just got to, you adapt and find a way.
You eat literally the same thing every breakfast, lunch?
I mean, for breakfast, I wake up and have the same thing, and it's coffee. And then for lunch, it's very similar. It might be like one of three things. And then for dinner, I'm very picky, and I have, one of three things as well. It's white rice and chicken, white rice and fish, white rice and steak, and white rice. It just circles itself around the pasta,
How long have you been doing that?
I've been for as long as I can remember, probably.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So tell us a little more. I know you've been doing, like, you got a crazy streak going with some of your running and your fitness.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, and what kicked that off?
So, let's see. I've been running since I had, I guess often since the age of 23, and I'm 54, 55 now. So I've been running a long time, knock on wood, had really no major injuries, almost 10 marathons over those years. But last March 7th, to be exact, when a lot of the pandemic and COVID started, I just started running every day. So, my routine before would be I'd go to the gym 3-4 days, run outside 3 days. But then I stopped going to the gym just because I wanted to be safe. I'm not saying that's the right thing or the wrong thing. It's just, made me feel more comfortable. And I'm blessed that my backyard is one of the metro parks. So, I wake up every day and I just hop into the park and run 3-4 miles. And here we are. I've got, I think, 10 days left till March 7th. And I'll have, almost 1,600 miles or something logged in. And
crazy distance.
It's crazy, and it's something that I focused on, and it's routine, and there's days you don't feel good, and there's days you feel good, and just get up and make it part of your day. But along the way, there's lots of aches and pains, and I know it's a little too much, and there's many days too, where I'll run in the morning, 3-4 miles, and then I'll come home after work, like I was telling you, for 3 or 4 days, and I'll do some of the compound movement, or the deadlifts, some of the CrossFit type of lifts, but I'm not with heavy weights, snatch lifts, cleans, overhead presses, deadlifts, and I'll mix that in as well. So
What triggered the streak? Like, obviously you've been a runner, but what triggered the I'm going to do this every day?
I just challenged myself and wanted to see, you know, how can I do it? Can I do it? I've been very competitive my whole life, played competitive tennis throughout high school and college, and I'm just always competitive with myself and wanted to challenge myself and set a goal. And it kept me going. It kept my mind on other things because it's very easy, and it has been very easy the past year since we're cooped up and limited to do things. And I made it a point where I could focus and do other things and focus on this and how can I get it done?
Yeah, I was talking to, I think I mentioned this to you actually, but one of my PT colleagues, Caitlin, said, everybody during COVID is either putting on these crazy streaks or they're not doing anything at all. So
Right.
I think that streak kind of gives you that focus, which is really awesome. What percentage of those runs were you say were outdoors?
I would probably say that 85% of my runs
Nice.
are outside. Um, Treadmill is really hard for me. Hard meaning that I'm just so used to being outside and just a good way to start the day. But the treadmill after 30 minutes, but I'm not on it long enough, so that's good. But
So,
there's days. There are some days when it's just 5 below or it's raining sideways, and you want to get it in.
yeah, we've definitely had some cold days recently. Um,
Yeah.
what would you say your volume mileage per week? What would you say it was before you started this, and then what are you averaging now?
So now it would be at least 28 miles a week, which
Okay,
isn't bad.
it's not
You
it's not
know,
crazy. Yeah,
it's not that crazy. When I was training for marathons and stuff, I mean, your mileage obviously goes to 40, 50 miles, some 60 miles a week. And I really wasn't that great of a runner anyways. I just do it because you know, I'd rather medicate myself with exercise and, doing something good for myself, or at least thinking that I'm doing something good for myself than, doing other things. But before, I would probably say instead of 28 miles a week, my mileage might only be, probably 10 to 12 miles a week.
so that's a pretty significant increase. I mean, doubled it at least,
Oh yeah,
and then
yeah.
daily now, right? So,
Oh yeah,
you know,
every day.
yeah, you say 28 miles, and you say, it's not a huge volume per week, but times 52 weeks, yeah, you're logging some miles. How do you, I mean, as far as running injuries go, you've stayed injury free pretty much this whole time, right? What do you contribute that to?
I get lots of aches and pains, or I do get aches and pains, or I know when I'm doing something wrong, then I text or go online to Fit for Function, and I find Nick, and Nick is always therapeutic, and I'm very aware of my body, maybe sometimes a little hypersensitive, but that's okay. But I think I communicated to you, and you always really help me find a way, and it really helps. This, the dry needling and the cupping, and the scraping and the massaging, and all of that stuff has really, I think, helped me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've done definitely a handful of dry needling and cupping sessions. Usually they're neck, shoulder kind of things. I feel like more than
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
Maybe
neck and shoulder, and then sometimes I'll come and I'm like, well, my sinuses aren't feeling great. Next thing I know, I have like a dry needle in my sinus area, and it works. It's amazing. It feels great.
what would you tell people it feels like? I was telling somebody today about dry needling and cupping, and as soon as the words came out of my mouth, I could see their face kind of react. What would you tell somebody it feels like, or why do you choose to use it?
Um, I've done everything, massage. I just the way that you're dry needling, you really don't feel anything, to tell you the truth. If anything, I'm more aware that you can get into tissue that you can't get to through massage. And I really don't feel anything. I can't say it feels like a pinch because you don't really feel that. It's you really don't. There's really not much to feel. I think if anything, the cupping might be a little bit of pressure, but I think it's doing good for my body. So I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. We tell people, we try to, you got to stimulate something, right? So you kind of get that deep ache once in a while, or maybe a little
Right.
skin burn with the cup, but we're just trying to tap into to create change. You need stress to create change. And,
Yeah.
whether you're talking exercise, you're talking recovery techniques, we're just trying to put a stress on the system so your body wants to build it back stronger, right? That's the whole
Yeah.
game. And
Yeah. I mean, the nervous system, it's amazing. When I leave my nervous system, you know, a lot, and I just know from overworking or overtraining or overdoing it, like everybody does, your nervous system becomes off. The sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system just gets, out of whack, and then you tie all that in with family and work and the pandemic and weather, and so I think this kind of brings everything back to normal when we get the cupping and the dry needling and all that stuff.
I think that's the hardest part of being kind of the busy adult active athlete is you're not only talking about whatever you're doing from a training volume standpoint, you're talking about work and family and all those other stressors that just kind of compound everything.
Right.
That's the hardest part of the whole thing. What when you say you feel like your nervous system gets out of whack, what does that mean to you? Like, what do you feel, or what kind of triggers you to go, hey, I need to do something to change my recovery?
It's You can just tell sometimes on a run when you just really feel exhausted, or you just you don't feel recovered. You're really sore. The older you get, the sore you get, and I just know that especially the dry needling, can relax your nervous system and kind of bring things back to a place where you can recover quicker. I don't. The professional athletes and many other athletes have been doing this for years, so I think they know something if they're doing it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're always looking for that 10%, or that 1%, maybe even depending on the level of the athlete, but there's definitely something to it. I mean, it's withstood the test of time. And I agree with you. There's a relaxation effect that just seems to occur, and it has to do
Yeah.
with, with that nervous system piece is huge. What other things, like I know you're wearing the Apple Watch, what other things are you doing to either track your recovery or check it when you're starting to feel off besides some of the stuff we're doing?
There's a lot of things. The Apple Watch is great. I use it for activity. I'm aware of what my resting heart rate is, and I'm aware of like the blood oxygen level. Um, and the new Apple Watch, the 6, has like an ECG on it, so you can kind of get an idea of if you're up or down. But other than that, I'm really aware, and that's really the only thing that I can track my fitness is my Apple Watch. Or when I come into you, there's times too where you say, hey, well, did you know or realize it was really tight in this area? And I'm like, yeah, it is. So
Just kind of tune it out a little bit, right? You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever looked into any of the heart rate variability monitors or any of those things, like the Whoop bands or the Core Ring?
I use a heart rate monitor when I'm working
Just
out.
the basic, yeah.
Yeah, I use the one on the watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's really important, that you are aware of what your resting heart rate is, and maybe what it is when you're active, and so forth.
What do you do to motivate yourself on that day where you're not feeling good, right? And you got the streak going, you want to make sure you get it going. What do you have a technique or a strategy that you use to be like, or is it literally just?
There's really, breathing, thinking of other things, being positive. When you're running, maybe you can pick spots. When I get to this spot or when I get to this time, all we have is this left. It's become, it's not easy. There's many days where you just want to just cash it in. But when you're finished, it feels even better.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for somebody that's not in that rhythm? Right, because we have research that shows once you kind of get into an exercise rhythm, it's
Sure.
easy to kind of stay in rhythm.
Yeah.
I feel like you've been an exerciser for a long time, but
Yeah.
have there ever been periods where you've had a layoff or where you're like, man, I'm just not in the mood? And is there anything you've done to kind of kickstart that?
There are many times where I'm not in the mood, but it's part of my routine, and I just think that you wake up every day and you do a couple things. I think it's a good way to start the day, or it's a good way to end the day. Sometimes it's easier for me to do it earlier than later. Um, but I just think it's a mindset. I mean, you can't put a price on your health and in your life. I mean, look at some of the professional athletes now. Look at Tom Brady, spends $2 million on his body. LeBron James, and these guys are in their 40s playing better than they've ever been. So, I mean, I think they know something that we should look as an example. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really insane to think about what they're doing at their age.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read most of Tom Brady's new book, the TB12 book.
Yeah.
And I mean, a ton of soft tissue work. I don't think he
Yeah.
does any cupping or kneeling, but a ton of soft tissue work after every workout, I believe. And
Yeah.
I think that's their new gym model as well. They do elastic band resistance and
Yeah.
and tissue work afterwards, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of but a really cool model.
Yeah.
What are you doing resistance exercise wise? I know in the past you've done a lot of CrossFit style workouts when you were doing things at Lifetime. What are you up to
I
now?
was I just did group workouts, some of the CrossFit stuff, compound movements, and I know my limit. I'm not going to push myself, so I'm going to get hurt. But I've actually started some resistance band training, which has been really good. The resistance band stuff is really hard. It's fantastic.
What are you doing with that?
I just with the resistance bands, like 20-minute workouts with squats and some push presses and things like that that have worked out really well. It has a lot of good core movements in them, that kind of thing.
Is that just something you're kind of making up on the fly? Or are you following?
No, I can give them a little plug, but the Peloton app is fantastic, and even if you don't have a machine, a treadmill or a bike, the Peloton app has great instructors, and you can do strength and you can do meditation, and they have band training. And I tried the bands, and I'm like, this is hard, and it's really good, and so I do it every once in a while.
Yeah, I think it's a great mix. And I haven't been on their app yet, but everybody I've talked to seems to have really high.
It's fantastic.
Really good things. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. And I think there is something, the elasticity piece. You're probably not going to make huge gains in your bench press or your deadlift, but as far as just try to stay active, mobile, build some basic muscle mass kind of stuff, I think it's a nice piece.
Yeah.
And then I know you're super busy with your business.
Yeah.
How do you manage your schedule? Like you mentioned, sometimes it's easier to do it in the morning versus it's easier to do it in the evening. Running a business and obviously things change constantly. How do you fit that in?
It's just routine. You find a way. Now we're not traveling, so I would say maybe it's become a little bit easier, but if before COVID, when I was traveling and I had to be on a plane at 8 o'clock, you're working out at 5:30 to make that plane. Or if you had a plane at 6:30, you're up at 4:30 to get at least 30 minutes in to do something. You just have to figure it out and find a way. And I always make it part of my day to do something and move every day to do something.
Yeah. What do you think motivated you to go down that path or stick with that path? I mean, obviously there's body comp and aesthetics and those things, but what else motivates you to kind of stay in that cycle?
I just think it's the way I work out is the same as the way I go to work, is the way I run the business. It's just a lot of focus. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of asking questions and being interested and doing things for others and being nice to people, and that's just how I am, and what we do.
I, I find that very interesting. Actually, I get to travel and I'm teaching these dry needling courses, and you meet
Yeah,
clinic owners, and
yeah,
I'm always amazed by the percentage of people that I meet that I would consider very successful with their business, and they're also very fit. Like,
yeah,
it is. You think it's just that discipline routine piece of operating a schedule, operating a business?
yeah. I think there are lots of people that unfortunately they really don't take care of their health until they need to, and they are successful. But I just
Mm-hmm.
find I find it important, uh, is an important piece that success. You can measure success many different ways. I measure it as from a health standpoint as well, that I want to take care of myself and my body the best that I can for myself and my family. So, those are some of the things I do, and also it's just a good way for me to find a place where I can kind of unwind and not think for an hour. So, when you go and work out for an hour, you're not thinking about work, or you're not thinking about your spouse or kids or responsibilities. That 1 hour is really for you, and you don't even realize it's gone. But I think it's a good mental, step back as well.
Yeah, I've you read a lot of things about meditation and mindfulness, and um, I think the exercise piece of that, from a clarity standpoint, I've said this before. I actually miss yoga classes. I feel like that shavasana, when you're laying, you're kind of chilling at the end of the yoga class. I feel like my head is so clear. I have more good thoughts in that 2 minutes or whatever that you're
Yeah.
kind of relaxing. There's just so much mental clarity that comes with that.
Yeah. If there was something and I'm sure there's probably plenty of people that have put this together, but it would be interesting to be able to put a business together, fitness for entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs are running at 500 miles a second, and they're doing multiple things, and sometimes they really aren't focusing on their health. But I think it's an important part of running a business or a small business or as an entrepreneur, because it can take you away. I do a lot of good thinking when I'm working out, and problem solving, and things that I should do and shouldn't do, whether it's with family or business or even myself. But
Yeah, I
it's,
mean, I can tell you firsthand that I don't know, year 2 to 3 of my business and my fitness, even tonight, was just terrible because I got so tangled up in got to get this done, got to get that done, got to get this
yeah,
done, and I did. I mean, I put the strength and conditioning and the fitness side just kind of to the side.
yeah,
But and now I feel like we're kind of easing our way back into it again, and you got all those challenges that come with you know if I want to flip the script on myself. The good part of it is it's like, okay, this is what it feels like for anybody that hasn't exercised in a while to get kind of back into a routine. And I think I've learned some things
yeah.
as far as the just kind of putting that time back into your day, and which exercises kind of get you bang for your buck without making you stupid sore, and all that
Right.
kind of
I mean,
thing.
it'll be interesting to see once we level off and we get somewhat of normalcy back. But I'm not sure if more people are focusing on their fitness during this pandemic, or if they are not focusing as much, because I mean, a lot of these fitness companies can't keep their product in stock, and you can't find it anywhere, and everyone's got a home gym now. But it'd be interesting to see, from a fitness standpoint or a health standpoint, are people becoming fitter and more aware of themselves now as before, or not?
Or yeah,
You know,
I I mean, just the people that I interact with, I would say it's probably 50-50, right? I got a handful of people that are like, I haven't done anything since COVID. I've put on 15 pounds.
right.
And then I say there's another handful of people kind of like what you've done, where they've created some kind of challenge or some kind of fitness piece where they're really making some changes over this time frame.
Yeah.
I think the other interesting question will be, you mentioned everybody's buying these products. What's going to happen with group fitness versus online fitness? Like, how
Yeah.
many people are going to be like, oh, I really love this online fitness game, I'm just going to keep online,
Yeah.
versus I can't wait to get back into the studio. I can't get back in the spin room or whatever it is.
I think that so many people have become Zoom and Teams, they're overboard. They're so fatigued with with the Zoom or the Teams meetings that those that wanted group fitness are going to go back. Um, but there might be some that are like, I'm just going to keep my distance and I don't have a problem with not having group fitness. I like collaboration. I like face to face. I like the emotion and that kind of stimulation. So, when it's safe and we can all go back to group fitness, I definitely will look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm ready to just get back into that, just the camaraderie of being in a group and moving together and kind of
Yeah.
whatever comes with that. And
Yeah.
the high fives at the end and all that kind of stuff. Now it just seems so crazy to think about.
Yeah. That group fitness is just good. You like to be friendly and talk and meet others, and it's just fun.
Yeah. And right now everybody's like, okay, let me keep my space. Let me,
Right.
you're dodging people, you're spreading
Yeah.
out.
It is. And, you just have to be able to, do what you feel that's comfortable. Some people are still comfortable going to group fitness, and that's great.
Yeah. I mean, let's not pretend there aren't people doing it.
Right.
I feel for the small studio kind of places, the spinning classes and the things where they're really, the whole model is based on putting a bunch of people in a small square footage space, and how many dollars can you make per square foot?
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's a
yeah,
tough model right now.
right. It's some businesses just have to learn how to adapt and find a way. And unfortunately, when it's 25 degrees outside, you can't be outside with your bikes.
Yep.
So, it's just it's a whole different world right now.
Yeah. I think it's going to boom though. As soon as this thing calms down, I think it is going to kind of take off again. So.
I agree. I think we're close.
Yeah. What do you do? Changing gears here a little bit. What do you do about sleep? Do you monitor sleep at all? Is that something that you're aware of or think about as far as how many hours?
Yeah. If there's one thing that I could really work on, it's I don't get enough sleep. I would love to have, or what I should say is I don't get great sleep. I wish I could have better sleep. And I know there's many things that you can do. Peloton app has, a meditation, sleep relaxation, which works really well. But uh, that's why I sometimes don't like to exercise late in the day or later at night, because it can affect your sleep patterns. But I really would like to work on sleeping better for one thing, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of exercising late for that reason either. It wires me too much.
Yeah.
How many hours would you on average, what do you think you get? Like, you talking?
I probably get what I need is probably 7 or 8 hours. I probably get 6.
Okay. 6 isn't terrible. I had a couple of days last week where I was just traveling and teaching and weird flights, and flights got delayed. And I think there was 2 days in a 4-day span where I got 4 or less maybe.
Ooh.
And I still don't think I've recovered. Like, still a little bit off.
That'll throw you.
Yeah, it's not great.
Right.
But the sleep game is certainly, when you talk about recovery, we all know how important it is, but the busier you get, the harder it is.
Sleep is a huge part of recovery. And it's really tough here, from the months of really October, November, all the way to March. We don't see the sun. It gets dark early, time changes. So now we're starting to see the sun more. Sleeping patterns might even get better.
Yeah. That day-night cycle piece of it is definitely helpful.
Yeah.
How about mobility? Again, kind of switching it up, but are there any things that you do routinely for a posture standpoint or mobility standpoint? I know you're running and lifting. Is there anything you're doing movement wise?
Just some stretching, and I don't stretch enough, right? Don't sleep enough, get enough sleep, and I probably should stretch or do the yoga because that really helped when I was doing yoga. And then, sometimes when my posture isn't right and things aren't right, I end up coming to Nick and we find out that, things are off and we get those things manipulated and we get those fixed.
How'd you get started with needling and all that stuff?
I got started with needling where I was having some issues, actually, vertigo issues. God, years ago, probably 15 years ago, and one of the neurologists from the Cleveland Clinic suggested that I go to this place, and that's where you were. You were working,
Yep.
and I was getting dry needled for a vertigo thing, and it helped. And I was noticing that other people were getting needled for things with their hamstrings or their lower back or their neck. And I'm like, wait, those things could be really good. And I tried that, and here I am.
What does the dry needling do for your dizziness? Like, what do you notice? Because your dizziness at this point, are you still getting like vertigo, or do you just get off? You just kind of get off a little bit, right?
Sometimes once in a while you get off, and it may be because the way I'm sleeping or the way my neck is positioned when I'm sleeping, which is a big thing. But the vertigo thing is, knock on wood's been really good, and I think the needling in the neck and the trap area and the things that you're doing or have done really have helped.
Yeah, I can tell when you come in and your neck's off, you're getting like kind of that headache, dizzy feeling. You can almost see the differences side to side and how toned up the one side gets.
Sure.
And needling is just such a powerful input to that kind of that reset, like we talked about earlier. It's always worked super well for you.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we got that pattern dialed in.
Yeah, it's
quick, simple.
Yeah, just some quick needles in the neck, Nick, and I'll be fine.
That's always the text. Like, hey, I need like 20 minutes.
Right. I just need a couple minutes of needles. That's it.
It's so simple. It works.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. Anything else you want to share? Like if you were going to share a tip for somebody, like they wanted to get into fitness, they're ready to take on some kind of challenge. What would you tell them? What would you give them?
I would tell them that you can't put a price on your fitness. You can't put a price on your health. And I would just tell them to ask questions, right? Be interested, ask you questions, and go to Fit for Function, and you've got a wonderful array of answers and questions and the reasons why people are getting it done, and it really take care of your body, because the older we get more aches and pains, and some of these aches and pains can go to larger things if we don't take care of these little things. So, I think. I would just suggest, people doing that.
I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years and kind of troubleshooting things as they come. Before we wrap up, tell people where they can find you and maybe a little bit about your business and what you're doing from a branding standpoint.
Well, we're a small merchandising and brand agency in Cleveland, and our customers are typically, they have product on the shelf at retail or distribution wholesale, and we do these non-sexy things for our customers: merchandising, point of purchase package, product video, it's a lot of digital, and we help our customers see the value that they invest in us. What do they get in return? And it's just like with you, the money that you invest with Nick, what are you getting in return? And I've had nothing but great value and great return, and that's what we want our customers to have too. At Spark Your Brand. So that's what we do.
I love it. You can see some of that packaging in the background. Looks solid.
Yeah. So it's all good, and you just got to think like the customer and say yes before no, and be interested, not the most interesting in the room. Ask lots of questions, and that's why these podcasts are great. We're asking lots of questions and being interested, and just be nice.
Yeah. That's my favorite part of my job is I get to talk to people all day and just, hear what they're doing, learn from people. It's amazing the things you pick up.
That's right.
Even when I'm supposed to be the pro in the room or whatever, it's cool to hear everybody's stories and just kind of what everybody's doing. And I'm trying to learn this marketing game. It's a beast. It's information distribution.
It is. You have to, marketing is an interesting word, and you just have to make sure that, especially in the small business, you're getting value in what you're investing into.
Yeah.
And there's many ways of getting lots of value.
Right. All right, man. So we're going to post, I know you're really active on LinkedIn. And you're also,
I'll put this podcast up on LinkedIn. I'll let a lot of my business associates see it, and I'll put it up for everyone to listen to. And who knows? Maybe we have something going back here. Maybe we can have another conversation, and we can have some topics or some other things that we can talk about.
I think next time we dive into that exercise or fitness for entrepreneurs. I think that's the
exercise for entrepreneurs is a good thing. And a lot of entrepreneurs, from what I found from my experience, always have it on their goals or their plan, but they're never finding a way to get to it.
Yeah. I think that's the whole key. And whether it's Peloton or it's something more specific, I think of the needs of myself. It's anti-sitting drills and some kind of cardio piece, right? Because you're at a computer so much that you got to undo those effects somehow. But
you got to stand up, not sit down like me. Sitting's the new, I guess. Yeah, sitting's the new smoking.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's what I was saying. You know what? That saying drives me nuts. Like, you're telling me these cashiers that are standing all day don't have issues? Get out of here.
They do.
The hairdressers, they don't have problems? Get out of here.
Trust me, I know. I stand 12 hours a day. I measure it, and you got lower back issues, but I would rather stand for some,
I think if you had to pick one, I guess you'd pick standing, but you got to change. You got to be able to change positions so your body doesn't get, if you stay in the same position too long, your body's going to learn that, adapt to it. And adapting to sitting or even standing still isn't going to make you a good mover. So, you just got to decide what you want your body to adapt to. But this whole sitting thing kills me.
Well, awesome.
Some books. All right, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and be safe and be healthy.
Yeah, you too. We'll talk soon.